Oh shit, here we go again.
You are watching Toon Matrix. Please watch previous part for better understanding.
The previous part of the story followed Paume and the other survivors as they returned barely alive from the 100-man gate. Time passed, and Paume suddenly opened his eyes, waking up and questioning his location. Lonko sat near the window and asked if Paume had regained his senses. He then urged Paume to listen carefully and answer truthfully his next question, emphasizing that only 3 individuals from the Gaffer Merchant Union had survived out of everyone who entered the gate. He pressed Paume to reveal what had transpired inside. Paume, looking surprised, exclaimed, "Only 3 of us?" He admitted to having a suspicion but realized that everyone else had perished. While a healer tended to Paume's injuries, Lonko sternly instructed him to answer truthfully unless he wished to lose his life. Huffing, Paume replied that there had been a demon inside the gate and requested a pen and paper to draw its image. Upon seeing the drawing, Lonko was taken aback and refrained from further questioning. The scene shifted to a tent erected in the forest. Inside, representatives from various merchant unions had gathered and were heatedly arguing with and questioning Lonko about how all the personnel who had entered the gate, the elites of their respective unions, had fallen to the monsters. Toriel, a representative from the Sky Merchant Union, pointed out that his cousin had been among those who went inside. Lonko, displaying Paume's drawing of the demon, remarked that it seemed Paume was telling the truth. The demon Paume had drawn was a green hob, causing surprise among everyone present. They murmured among themselves, noting that green hobs were monsters capable of using items and possessed such intelligence that fighting them on a large scale would be akin to battling a human army. A man with a long mustache then spoke up, expressing his disbelief. This was Franco, the representative from the Goldrich Merchant Union. He asserted that there was no possibility that their 3 Natasha sisters would fall to something like that. Lonko inquired what he was implying. Franco, with a serious tone, replied, suggesting foul play, stating that it didn't make sense unless someone had backstabbed them from within. He added that there was no way to know if it was premeditated and that the 3 survivors were all from the same group. Abis, with a cigar in his mouth, interjected, stating that he couldn't listen to this nonsense any longer. He questioned if Franco was accusing Gaffer of betraying everyone, suggesting that perhaps Gaffer's side simply had someone who had reached the 3rd circle and survived while the others hadn't. Franco became agitated, asking if Abis was implying that their merchant union's adventurers were inferior to Gaffer's. Both men began to argue, each asserting their union's superiority, while Lonko grew weary of their bickering and wondered when they would finish. Franco then challenged Abis, asking if they had any proof that their adventurers hadn't engaged in foul play. With a cunning smile, Abis replied that since they hadn't brought any items out of the gate, they lacked any motive. Time skipped again, and Paume thanked Lonko for treating their injuries. After they had left, Kite asked Lonko if it was alright to let them go so easily, to which Lonko replied that they had already reached a conclusion. Deep within the forest, as Paume and the others walked, they noticed a snail approaching them. Kiri commented that it had actually followed them, and a cute snail was seen in front of them. A flashback then occurred, showing inside the gate where Kiri asked Paume why he was hesitating. She reminded him that they had already dealt with the Black Magician's followers and cleaned up the Green Hob and its minions. Now, they simply needed to discard the items and inflict minor injuries on each other before leaving. Paume continued to glare at them, and a glowing feather was visible inside his waist bag. Paume explained that their plan was indeed to kill the boss and discard the items. However, the item the boss held was a phoenix's feather. Merely holding it could increase the output of fire magic by 30%, and unlike other non-stacking items, this one's effects could be accumulated. Paume now understood why the previous adventurers had been wiped out. This was an unexpected gain, and he had to take it out with him no matter what. Kiri warned Paume that if they were to take out any unregistered items, they would be suspected of foul play. She urged him not to be greedy and to stick to their plans, as they had already located the exit gate. While they were talking, they both noticed a snail. This was a pet snail, which, unlike other snail monsters, lacked attack power but had the ability to sniff out and collect items. The more items it collected, the larger its shell would become. It was a life form discovered after the gate opened in his previous life. The snail then took the feathers out of its shell and gave them to Paume. Kiri questioned how Paume knew about the snail's use, to which he replied that he thought it would be better to try something than to leave empty-handed. Kiri then asked what he was planning to do next. Paume told her not to be in a hurry, as they had also infiltrated the Cygnus Knights, and they needed to be cautious while gathering intel. If they weren't careful, the Knights could go further into hiding. He stated that they should have returned already and asked her to wait. The scene then shifted to someone reporting that the Genis, Merdya, Dig, Goldrich, El Nido, and Sky Merchant Unions had all been wiped out, and the raid had failed. A lady in a black silhouette reported that all the adventurers had been defeated by the boss monster, resulting in the raid's failure, and only the 3 from Gaffer had survived. There had been suspicions of foul play during the meeting, but it was Gaffer who was questioned, not them. It was raining heavily outside as she reported that they hadn't been exposed despite the mission's failure. A flash of lightning illuminated the lady as she reported all this to a white-haired man, a follower of the Black Magician. He questioned if they hadn't been caught, to which she replied affirmatively. Their plan had been to eliminate all parties and kill the boss themselves. The white-haired man pondered that at least one of the 3 survivors must have seen William, yet there was no mention of it in El Paume's report. The lady wondered if there was a reason for him to conceal it. She added that even if he did, since they had people within multiple merchant unions, it would be difficult to pinpoint their merchant union. The white-haired man, referred to as Whitey, mused about a potential reason for hiding it, suggesting that perhaps Paume had realized that the one behind everything wasn't just a merchant union but them, the followers of the Black Magician, and what if he decided to spread that information? Upon hearing this, the lady exclaimed that if that were true, they were in danger and needed to cut off all the members who had infiltrated the merchant unions before things spiraled out of control. Whitey laughed cunningly, wondering if this was an invitation. He declared it interesting and stated that he would accept it. It continued to rain as Whitey plotted, deciding it would be best to choose a different stage so that they could be the 101st guests. Another thunderclap flashed, revealing a 50-person gate bearing numerous cuts made by adventurers. The narrative shifted to Debo's past life, before Paume's regression, and it was a period of immense hardship. Plagued by poverty, Debo could only yearn for a normal human existence. He was forced to helplessly watch his sister suffer daily from the black blood disease, and he couldn't even afford to properly send off his deceased family members. He was shown kneeling on the ground, his clothes torn and his body bearing several cuts. In this moment of utter despair, Aaron appeared in his life. With a smile, she remarked that there was still someone left. She entered through a broken wall and sat on the paw of a monster, commenting that Debo seemed to be going through a difficult time and asking if he needed any assistance. Debo, with a cold gaze, told her to go away. This marked Debo's first encounter with Aaron. Time passed, and a roaring grizzly monster was depicted being sliced into pieces by a single attack from Debo, who excitedly exclaimed that he had secured first place. One of his teammates was sitting on a dead monster, lamenting that he was only 30 seconds late. Another teammate, while sheathing her sword, commented that it seemed cleaning duty was decided for the day, adding that Debo focused too much on trying to look cool. Then, Aaron was seen praising everyone for their hard work and asking if they should depart. While the others had each killed 1 or 2 monsters, Aaron stood atop a large pile of dead monsters stacked high. 1 year proved to be a transformative period for Debo's outlook on life. He looked at Aaron with a happy expression. Aaron was portrayed as a hero unaffected by personal emotions but with a warm heart. She protected her people and took the initiative in forging a path forward. Observing her from close by allowed Debo to see the world in a new light, and his goal naturally became to support her. His teammate retorted that since Debo had proclaimed himself the disciple of Eren, he should put in more effort if he wanted to be acknowledged. Debo, flustered, told him to be quiet. As they were conversing, Eren asked Shannon if they were heading in the right direction, to which Shannon replied that based on the mark left on the ceiling, it should be the correct path. Eren then wondered how a place like this could exist beneath Mount Elnas. The narrative then rewound to a past event where Shannon, looking frail, had come to seek Lady Eren's help in finding her brother. She explained that it was too dangerous for her to venture into Mount Elnas alone, and no one was willing to accompany her. Eren responded that she had come to the wrong person, as she did not take on such personal requests. Furthermore, taking Shannon with them was inefficient because, while she might be a guide on paper, her being only a third circle mage would make her nothing but dead weight. Hearing this, Shannon became sad, and tears welled up in her eyes. Overhearing their conversation, Debo spoke up, stating that they were likely her last hope, as there were no adventurers willing to enter the Cave of Trials after the recent events. With a determined look, Debo declared that he wanted to help her and took responsibility for Shannon's safety. Returning to the present, a rocky terrain, seemingly surrounded by lava, was depicted, bearing clear signs of a massive battle. They stood before a corpse that Shannon didn't recognize, stating it wasn't her brother. Eren pondered if she should be relieved, but questioned how the person had died in such a manner, as it didn't appear to be the work of a monster. While they discussed the cause of death, a giant shadow loomed above them, and something incredibly fast descended upon them. Thankfully, they all managed to evade the attack, and Debo questioned what had just occurred. They then saw a giant stone figure and realized it was a Zakum. It lunged at Debo, who ran towards the attack to block it, urging Shannon to fall back. Suddenly, a blue slash appeared. It was Eren who had deflected the Zakum's attack. She instructed Debo that they would take the left side, and Debo excitedly ran towards it, saying they should end it quickly. The other two members of their team engaged the right side of the monster. While they were all occupied fighting the Zakum, Shannon noticed a tunnel behind them. After some time, they managed to defeat the monster, and Debo commented that it was as difficult to defeat as the rumors suggested. Then, one of their teammates noticed that Shannon was missing. Debo spotted her hair clip on the ground and wondered if she had gone through that tunnel alone. Eren, with a serious tone, told everyone to get ready, stating that while she didn't know what it was, she sensed a strong aura emanating from inside. Debo then declared that he would go alone to bring her back, as ensuring Shannon's safety was his duty. Eren then replied that she was coming with him, explaining that whatever was inside posed a threat to the Maple world, and it was her responsibility to deal with it. Hearing this, they all decided to go inside. Upon entering, they found themselves in an area filled with hot, boiling lava. Upon entering, they found themselves in an area filled with hot, boiling lava, with a path leading towards a tree. Underneath this tree, Shannon was kneeling beside a corpse. They called out to her to come back, but while touching the face of the corpse, she replied that it was her brother. Debo shouted, telling her to stay there and that he would come to get her. Shannon then began to smile suspiciously, tears streaming down her cheeks. She turned to Debo, saying she knew he would definitely come because he was such a kind person, but there was no turning back. She called Debo by his name, asking if he knew the meaning behind the name Zakum, the Tree of Demons. She explained that while many believed the moving statues were Zakum, they were merely a medium used by the true Zakum, which was the giant tree they were facing. Debo called out her name, asking what she was saying. Eren calmed Debo and thanked Shannon for providing this information, admitting she had no idea that the Zakum had a main body. She told Shannon to stay put as she would slay the tree, and instructed her to take cover as it could be dangerous, warning she might be crushed if caught in the attack. Eren then suspiciously asked Shannon if she had something else she needed to do with her brother, like a sacrifice. Shannon pulled a mana sphere from her brother's body, stating that they didn't understand her yet. Crying, she said that it had already begun as soon as they entered this place. She squeezed the mana sphere in her hands, and it began to crack little by little. Shannon explained that while Zachem used mediums, it wasn't limited to just the statues. As she finished her words, one of Debo's teammates stabbed him from behind, causing him to cough up blood. Aaron turned around in surprise and noticed that another one of their teammates was charging at her with the intent to kill. Debo turned to his teammate, Miria, calling her name and asking what she was doing. Then, Debo's eyes widened in shock as he saw that Miria's eyes were filled with a red, bloodthirsty rage. Gritting her teeth, she declared that he was the one who had killed her teammates. Shannon laughed, remarking that it was pointless, as they would only see them as targets for their revenge. Another Zachem statue emerged from the lava lake. Shannon commented that it was time for the finale and that she should do her best to finish this performance. The scene then showed Shannon completely transformed, her hair turned white and her eyes entirely black. Laughing maniacally, she proclaimed that everything would be done for Sir Black Magician. An explosion rocked the area, and Debo wondered if Miria had been possessed by the Zachem. Aaron screamed at him, urging him to finish it quickly, stating that she was no longer the Miria they knew. Miria grinned evilly, towering over Debo as a mysterious black aura enveloped her body. Aaron activated her skill, Adrenaline Charge, and swung her weapon, directing its full power at the tree-like enemy. With an explosive strike, she cleaved through a section of it, severing several of its branches. Aaron's powerful assault continued as she fought. Debo cursed inwardly, gritting his teeth. Debo mentally berated himself again, and amidst the rubble on the cave floor lay the head of one of his teammates, his body lifeless. Debo was consumed by the thought that if he hadn't led them there, none of this tragedy would have occurred. With loud cries, Debo charged towards his former friend, now controlled by the enemy, and thrust his polearm deep into Miria's gut, causing her to cough up blood. Debo apologized to her, but Miria showed no signs of surrender, extending her hand towards Debo's face with the intent to attack. However, Debo swiftly bisected her body. In her final moments, Miria reached out and touched Debo's face, thanking him for allowing her to die as a human and asking him to take care of Aaron. Debo clenched his teeth in anger, regretting his calling. Meanwhile, Aaron continued her battle against their main adversary. She leaped from the ground and attacked the Zachem's main body. An explosion erupted, but the monster retaliated, attempting to strike her with its massive stone hands. Aaron dodged to the side and reached the top of the main body, where Debo also arrived, shouting that they should tear the creature apart. With loud battle cries, they began to strike the stone statue repeatedly, but it proved to be a formidable opponent. One of its stone hands attacked Debo, who blocked it with his polearm. While he was deflecting the statue's attack, Shannon, now in control of the Zachem, saw an opening and ran towards him with a knife in hand, proclaiming that she offered her life to the great black magician. But Aaron intervened just in time, slashing through Shannon and ending her life with a single strike. Now, only the statue, the Zachem's main body, remained. Debo commented that breaking the statue wouldn't be easy. As he said this, a sudden ache shot through his head, and the same black energy that had emanated from Miria began to emanate from him. Aaron suspected that Debo was also now under the Zachem's influence. Debo barely maintained control and shouted, begging Aaron to kill him quickly before he did something he would regret. Aaron cursed, powered up her weapon, and apologized to Debo. Debo smiled nervously, saying that this was perhaps for the best, a punishment for his foolish thoughts, and he apologized to his fallen teammates, acknowledging that all this had happened because of him. Suddenly, the Zachem's influence over Debo's mind intensified, and he hallucinated, seeing his sister, Dinev, lying dead on the floor. Debo became confused, wondering why his sister was there. Now completely under the Zachem's control, Debo perceived Aaron as his enemy, suspecting that she was the one who had brought his sister there.
Oh, hell no!
Unaware that he was fully controlled, Aaron approached Debo with a regretful expression, saying she would end his suffering quickly. Debo, now consumed by rage, declared that he would not forgive his enemy. Aaron now had to fight both the monster and her student. She was attacked simultaneously by the statue's powerful arm and Debo. Aaron dodged the first attack but was struck by Debo's subsequent kick. Aaron remarked that Debo's senses were unnaturally sharp. They exchanged several blows with their polearms, and seeing an opportunity, Aaron leaped into the air, preparing a powerful attack. She struck the statue's hand that was above Debo, then positioned herself directly behind him. Debo turned to face her, his eyes still filled with rage, but this wouldn't deter Aaron. She executed a powerful attack called Final Toss, freezing the statue's hand and immobilizing it. The shockwave from Aaron's attack caused Debo to fall to the ground, his polearm slipping from his grasp. Aaron then jumped onto the statue's face, preparing a final powerful attack, shouting that she would end it all. Behind her, a massive bear silhouette began to form, her skill, Final Blow. Just as she was about to strike, she noticed Debo sitting atop the statue's head. Debo lunged at Aaron, his face contorted in a menacing expression, intent on killing her. Aaron cursed and gritted her teeth, calling Debo a fool, because this was her only chance, and she couldn't stop. She apologized to Debo and then unleashed that powerful attack on her enemy. A potent stream of energy surged towards the demonic tree and the statue, obliterating everything in its path. After some time, Debo awoke, asking what had happened to the Zakum. Aaron smiled weakly and said that he had finally regained his senses. Aaron was shown leaning against a stone, lying in a pool of her own blood, with Debo's polearm impaled in her stomach. She commented that she had thought she would leave without saying goodbye to him. Debo exclaimed in horror, loudly calling out Aaron's name. He reached out a trembling hand, asking why she hadn't killed him and was now in this state. Aaron told him that they had already lost once 800 years ago, and she was no longer the one to stop the black magician. However, considering Debo possessed a great talent that she couldn't compare to at his age, he could do it. Debo was incredulous, his eyes filled with tears as he watched Aaron gradually weaken. He lamented that he couldn't become like Aaron even if he had an eternity. Aaron simply smiled and told Debo that he now had to take care of the Maple World. As a result of their intense battle, a fissure had opened in Mount Elna's, allowing sunlight to penetrate and illuminate the surroundings. In her final breath, Aaron affirmed her belief in Debo, saying he was her only student. Her eyes slowly closed, and Aaron whispered that she was very tired and wanted to rest. And with that, Aaron closed her eyes forever, and the Maple World had lost another hero, leaving Debo to inform her cherished friends of this devastating loss. Eventually, Debo left that place, as it held no meaning for him without Aaron. It was hell for him, from failing to protect the life goal he had barely found to being unable to atone for his sins. He couldn't even fulfill the request of someone he held so dear. Facing the next battle against the evil one-on-one, Debo felt incapable. The monster unleashed a powerful attack on Debo, resulting in a massive explosion that obliterated him, thus ending his past life. In the present, Debo lazily opened his eyes, gazing at the ceiling while comfortably lying in his bed. His sister, Dinev, called out to her brother in surprise, asking if he was awake. She expressed her worry because Debo had been unconscious without any apparent injuries. She inquired if he had experienced a nightmare. Debo awkwardly scratched the back of his head and replied that he didn't remember anything. Then, a knock echoed at their door, and Dinev remarked that they weren't expecting anyone that day. She opened the door and then called her brother, informing him that he had a guest. Debo slowly walked to the front door and saw Paume standing outside, who urged Debo to get ready quickly as their plans had been moved forward.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon.